Welcome everyone to Yoga Basics. Today we are going to be using a number of props, so make sure you have your yoga strap or belt. We'll also use our blocks, so if you have 2 blocks, grab those blocks, and then go ahead and just put your blocks at the end of your mat, so they're set up and ready to go. We'll use a chair. And then you'll also want to be near a section of wall, probably, about shoulder width or so. So if you want to set yourself up a little closer to the wall, we'll do that when we come up to standing. All right. And then meanwhile, making yourself comfortable on the mat here, sitting up on those folded blankets or even your block. And we'll just take a few moments to prepare by closing the eyes and turning the attention inward. And just taking a moment to notice how your body feels. Especially noting any areas of tension or tightness. And then we'll take 2 deep cleansing breaths. So take a nice big inhale through the nose. And then exhale it all out by blowing or sighing it out. And one more nice big inhale. And exhale it all out. And then soften the muscles of the face. Relax the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then turn the attention to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And then we'll begin a nice, even breathing, inhaling and exhaling to a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And just continue this nice, even breathing. If at any time it makes you lightheaded or dizzy, just go back to your own normal breathing pattern. And then we also set an intention for each practice to help remind us why we are here. So that may be a benefit you would like to receive, or just in a positive or uplifting thought or phrase. So think of an intention that you'd like to have for your practice today. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. If you do have your legs crossed and you want to switch that top leg, go ahead and do that. And then we'll begin the warm-up by turning our heads to look out over that right shoulder. And coming back to center and turning to look out over the left. And back to center, dropping the chin to the chest. And then picking the chin up towards the ceiling and jetting that lower jaw out. And coming back to center and dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And back to center and left ear to left shoulder. And back to center. Extending the hands out in front, open and close the fingers. And then some wrist circles. And reverse. Good. Bringing the hands back to the lap and doing some shrugs. And then the next time you pick the shoulders up, roll them to the back. And bringing the shoulders back to neutral, we're going to take the right shoulder and you're going to pull it forward as you turn to look out over that shoulder. So you're kind of looking behind the shoulder as you pull it forward. And then come back to center, try it on the left. So as you pull the shoulder forward, look to the left. So actually, so you should be feeling this stretch here in the upper back into the shoulder. Good. Let's try it again on the right. Pull the shoulder forward as you turn and look to the right. Good. And then left. Good. And then releasing it back to center and just kind of wiggling it out. And then taking that right hand, placing it on the outside of the right hip. Inhale, sweep that left arm up, and exhale as you bend to the right. Release back to center, switch hands, inhale, and to exhale to the left. Good. Coming back to center, coming into a twist. Place the left hand on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale, bring that right hand around behind you as you turn and look right. Good. Release back to center, switch hands, and inhale again, and exhale, turn and look to the left. Good. And then release back to center. If you have the legs crossed, go ahead and extend them out in front of you. Shake them out a little bit. Get that blood flowing. And then we'll take our hands, hold behind that right thigh, pull the knee in and extend it out. And then the next time you pull it in, hold it there as you point and flex the foot. And then some ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And same thing on the left. Just bending and extending. And then as you pull that knee in, hold it there, point and flex. And circles. and reverse. Good. And then coming onto hands and knees, and you may want to open up your blanket. We are going to be coming into a low lunge after downward facing dog. So if you want to open your blanket now, if you want that extra padding, go ahead and do that. And then we'll start by coming onto hands and knees. So wrists under the shoulders, knees stacked right under the hips. And then with your inhale, lifting the chest and the sits bones, arching the spine for cow. And with your exhale, coming into cat. Press into the hands, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale, back into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And once more, inhale and exhale. Good. Bringing the spine back to neutral and then coming into child's pose. Remember to support the head by stacking the fists or grabbing your block and resting your forehead on that. And just take a couple of breaths here. And then just put your block to the side if you use that. Extend the arms out in front of you. Come back up to hands and knees, and then we'll either come into puppy pose or downward facing dog. So remember, puppy, you're going to extend those arms, drop the head and the chest down, but you're still on your knees. Or pressing into the hand, then lifting the hips, extending back through the arms and the shoulders. Keep a bend in the knees. And then maybe I like to warm up walking the dog, just straightening one leg and then the other. Good. Keep breathing. And then with your exhale, we'll come back down on our blanket. I'm going to pull mine back a little bit here because I'm too far up. All right, so you're going to take your blocks, have them out in front of you, and we're going to come into what's called a runner's lunge. So using your blocks, and again, you can use whichever height of the block you need, shift the weight over to the left, pick up that right leg, and you can always reach back and grab your ankle and bring that right foot forward. All right, so here's where your block height, you don't want to be all rounded up. You want to lift the torso or lift your chest. And then you're going to sink your hips forward. So now my left knee, as you can see, is behind my hips. Now focus on that right knee. I don't know if you can see it there with that block. You want to have your right knee over the ankle. So you're just going to kind of scoot your foot forward a little bit so that your knee doesn't go past your toes. Good. So you should be feeling that stretch in the front of the left thigh. Now you can either stay here or you can curl your left toes and then see if you can pick up that left knee. Hands can be on the block or even on the mat. I kind of like the block. Good. But you want to keep the back straight, so just keep your neck in line with the spine. Good. And then bend that left knee. Drop that back down. Use your blocks. You're going to shift the weight back so you can step that right foot back, and then we'll shift to the other side. So the weight goes to the right, pick up that left foot. Again, if you need to grab it and bring it forward, go ahead and do that. Scooch that left foot forward a little bit. So using the blocks, you can now come forward, drop the hips down. Good. Take a couple of breaths. Again, if you want, see if you can pick up that right knee. Good. Continue to breathe. So this is stretching out the quad and mainly the psoas, which is the muscle that gets shortened when we sit a lot. So this is a great stretch for that. Good. All right, bring that right knee down if you did pick it up. And then slide that left foot back a little bit. You can use your blocks to bring the torso back. And then from here, we're going to come up to standing. So if you want to use your blocks and step that foot forward. All right, just have your blocks nearby. Actually, go ahead and put them on your chair. We will get to them in a moment. And also have your strap nearby. So if you want to just put your strap and your blocks on the chair. And then coming back to the middle of the mat. Oh, you may need your chair. We're going to be doing some heel raises in Tadasana. So if you feel like you want the chair nearby to hold on to, then just scooch your chair over for that. So just have that nearby. All right, so let's go ahead and come into Tadasana. So legs are hip width apart. We're finding those four corners of the feet. Tighten the front of the thighs. Good. Arms alongside the body, a few inches away from it. Palms facing each other. Lift and tighten the abdominals. Lengthen up from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Pick those shoulders up. Roll them down the back so the chest is lifted. Good. Keep the chin parallel to the floor as you gaze forward. And taking a few breaths here. Good. All right, so I mentioned we are going to be doing some heel raises. So by keeping a hand on the chair, it'll give you enough support that you can focus on your form. So when you come up, you want to keep your ankles in line with your toes. So in other words, it's easy to kind of let the ankles fall out to the side. So keeping a hand on the chair will give you a little support. The other arm, we're just going to sweep up. Good. All right, so here we go. Just come up on the balls of the feet. Tighten your calf muscles and tighten those abdominals. So just like you did in Tadasana. Good. And up. Good. So inhale as you reach up, lengthen up. Good. And down. Let's do two more. Good. And last one here. Good. And then just bend each knee, walk in place here, kind of loosen up if you even want to do a couple ankle circles. And whenever we do calf raises, I like to do the opposite and lift our toes just because you've worked the calf. And then I like to work the shin on the muscle of the shin, the anterior tibialis also. Such an important muscle to keep strong for walking. So holding on to the chair, just lift your toes or the balls of the feet, shifting the weight onto the heels. Now as you do that, try not to push your hips back. So just like you were in Tadasana, keeping the torsos nice and straight, just lift and lower. A couple more. Good. Do it once more. Good. And then come back to this just walking in place. Good. All right. Go ahead and just put the chair to the side just so you've got some room here. We're going to come into chair pose. So again, focusing on those ankles. Feet are hip width apart. We're going to do something a little different with the arms. So we're going to have the palms facing forward. With an inhale, bring those arms up just above the shoulders. And then with your exhale, begin to push the weight back in the hips. Weight will go into the heels. Keep the chest lifted. Good. Now, glance down. Make sure your knees are in line with your toes and that you can see your toes, not going past your toes. Good. And then with the inhale, go ahead and come on up. Do that little knee shake, just to kind of wiggle through the legs. Good. All right, we're going to try that one more time. All right, here we go. Inhale and exhale. Good. And breathe. Good. And then with your inhale, go ahead and come on up, release those arms, shake out those legs. All right. So now we're going to come into a hamstring stretch, and this is where the wall and the chair are going to come in. So also make sure you've got your blocks and your strap. So we're going to use the wall to give us some support as we put our leg on the chair. And I'll show you how you can use your blocks. And this is just going to be dependent on how flexible your hamstring is. So I want to have my back against the block, and then you're going to align the chair so you can place your foot on the chair. A little close here. All right. So start with putting the weight in the left leg. Now make sure that this left foot is close enough to the wall so that you're in alignment. So your shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are on this straight line. Then pick up that right foot, place your heel on the chair. If you're okay here, or you think you can maybe go a little bit deeper in your stretch, start with one block, and then you're also going to use your strap here. We're just seeing what's a good place for you here. So if that, that just raised your foot up about 3 inches. If that's good for you, then stay here. If you're really flexible, maybe 2 blocks. Then you can take your strap, place it around the ball of the foot, and then trying to get your back against the wall, holding on with that right hand to the strap. Good. And getting a nice deep stretch in that right leg. So again, there shouldn't be pain or discomfort. You're just, by the wall supporting you, you're getting a nice stretch in that hamstring. And just taking a few breaths. Again, you may have your foot on the chair, maybe on one block, maybe both. Just whatever feels good or what you're able to do. Good. All right, go ahead and remove your strap. Remove your leg. We'll try it on the other side. And maybe one side is a little more flexible than the other. So bringing that right foot maybe just about an inch or so away from the wall so you can get your sacrum and hopefully the shoulders against the wall without, still keep your abs tight. You don't want to extend your abdomen away from you. All right, shift the weight to the right, pick up that left foot, and then go ahead and put your strap around the ball of the foot. And then standing up nice and tall against the wall, holding on to that foot. Good, and keep breathing. Good. And then go ahead and remove your strap. And then remove that left leg. Just put your strap and your blocks to the side. We will use the block when we come down on the mat, so you will want to have it somewhat close to you, just the one block. All right. You may also want to use the back of the chair for some support. We are going to balance on one leg. So I'm going to bring the chair over to my left side because we'll start by shifting the weight into the left leg. So we're going to do, it's kind of a standing pigeon, or some people call it figure 4 pose. So weight goes into the left leg. Then you're going to bend the left knee. So I'm in maybe a quarter squat, not quite a half squat. Pick up your right foot and cross it over the left thigh. Now, if this is too much, or you've been told not to do this much of an external rotation, then just go ahead and cross on the ankles. But you still have most of the weight in that left leg. If you're okay here, then you can keep your left hand on the chair, just bring your right hand to prayer, or find your gazing point. See if you can balance here. Good, and keep breathing. Good. And then with your inhale, come on up, release that right leg, shake out that left leg, and then either just turn around or move your chair, and we'll try it on the right side. All right. So rooting down into the right leg, tighten the muscles of the right leg, and then bend that left knee. As I bend my right knee, so I'm in kind of this little half squat. Good. Bring the hands to the heart. And remember, you can always just cross on the ankles and start there. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then as you release, come on up. Shake out that standing leg. And then taking the chair to the end of the mat, have the back of the chair facing you. Again, just so it's there if you need it. We're going to come into a high lunge. So standing behind the chair, we'll shift the weight over to the left leg. As you bend the right knee and begin to step it behind you, then bend the left knee. Now remember, high lunge is a pretty wide stance because you're on the ball of this back leg. So this is your right foot is behind you, and I'm on the ball of the foot. I want to square my hips to the front of the chair. Now, if you feel yourself kind of bobbing a little bit, then go ahead and keep that left hand on the chair. And then we'll lift the right arm. If you're okay here, then both arms. Good. Try tightening your right glute and see if that helps give you a little more stability. And continue to breathe. Press into your left heel. Good. And then with your exhale, go ahead and release the arms, shift the weight forward, as you step the right foot forward, and then we'll try it on the other side. All right, so shifting the weight into that right foot, then the left knee again as you begin to step that left foot back, and as far as you safely can, you're on the ball of that left foot, then you'll bend the right knee. Good, tighten that left buttock. If you want to keep your right hand on the chair this time, go ahead and do that. Square those hips. Good. And continue to breathe. Good. And then with the exhale, bring those arms down. Again, shift the weight forward as you step forward. And then just shake out those legs. And then we're going to come down on the mat. So we will put the chair to the side, have your blocks handy and your strap. And then taking yourself down, we're going to come down on our backs. And actually, we're going to stay on our backs. So if you want to also gather up anything for Savasana, then you'll have that close also. I'm going to grab my strap. You might look. All right. So we're going to start by doing a little core work. So we're going to take the block, just this narrow part of the block, and you're going to place that between your thighs. So your knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. I've got my block between my thighs. So I'm going to be squeezing the block with my thighs. If you have low back issues, then just slide your hands so the palms are flat on the mat, and just slide the back of the hands under your hips, just in front of your hips, to help support that low back. Keep your abs tight. And then you're going to pick your feet up so that your legs form a 90-degree angle. And we're going to do some little toe taps. Now, if your low back is okay, you're still going to tighten these abdominals. You can also rest your hands on those lower abdominals and feel them working. And we're just going to do this alternating tap. Bring the foot back, tap your toe, and back. The key is to keep those abs tight. Good. And lower. I can feel that in my core here. So you're either here, or if you want a little more support, then you can tuck your hands under here. But either way, keep those abs tight. We're working these lower abdominals. Good. Let's do one more on each side. Good. All right. Bring those feet down. Oh, I really felt that here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come into bridge. But I want you to take your block. This time you're just going to place it flat on the floor, but you're going to put it between your feet. So have your big toes touching the block. Again, bend the knees. You'll probably want to slide those feet in a little closer. I think I had mine out too far. Good. Place the upper arms on the mat to help give you some support when you lift. And then with your next inhale, begin to lift those hips. The weight will shift into the shoulders. Good. Press into your heels, and then imagine you're trying to slide the heels down the mat. So the block helps to not let our knees fall out to the side. Good. And then continue to breathe. Good. And then with your exhale, go ahead and lower down. Good. And just rest it out. And then we're going to pick up the block again. So with all three of these exercises, we're building some leg strength by squeezing the block. So we're going to come back to the narrow edge of the block, and we're going to come back to placing that between our thighs. So now we're going to come into our bent knee twist. Arms will come out at shoulder height, and palms are facing up. You're going to pick up your hips and just shift them over to the left, about 2 inches or so. Pick up your feet. So now, actually, you probably put the block more vertical, give you some room. And then we're going to drop the knees to the right and turn and look to the left. So we want to keep this left shoulder on the mat. I think I've shown before, let me grab this. If you do have your second block nearby, if you find your knees are here, you can always use that other block to rest your thigh on. Turn it this way, or roll up your blanket, just so you can relax a little bit more in the pose. If you can bring these knees down and still keep your left shoulder on the mat, then you can do that too. But feel free to use any prop under here, just so you can relax. All right, and continue to breathe. Good, and then we'll bring the legs back to center, bring the feet down. Then you're going to pick the hips up, shift them now to the right, and then same thing. I've got these blankets over here so I could use them. Pick my feet up, drop my knees over to the left, and you can see how I'm resting them on the blanket. So that allows me to keep my right shoulder down, look to the right, and breathe. Good, and then with the inhale, come back to center. Go ahead and put your feet down. Keep your block to the side. Make sure your hips are now centered back in the center. And then we'll take our strap. Find that midpoint. And then pick up the ball of each foot and place it in the strap. And then extending the legs, let the strap go with your legs. And then walking your hands up the strap and pulling the shoulders down, and then pressing the thighs away from you. Now, you want to keep your sacrum on the mat. So in other words, I'm not going to lift my hips up off the mat. I'm keeping my sacrum or my hips on the mat. Good. You should feel a nice stretch again in those hamstrings. Continue to breathe. Good, and then bend the knees. Go ahead and remove your strap. And then, having the knees bent, go ahead and walk those feet out to the edges of the mat. So until you can feel the edge. And we're going to do some windshield wipers. So we'll start by dropping the right knee down to the left. And if you can drop the left knee down too. If that's too much, then you can just keep that left knee up. Come back to center and then drop them both to the right. Again, if this is too much, just keep that right knee pointing up. Good. Come back to center and try it on the left. Good. And center again on the right. This just kind of combines everything that we've done so far. Again, you're feeling this nice stretch in here, in that psoas. Back to center. Another side. And just working the hips. Let's try it once more each side. Good. And center. And to the right. Good. And coming back to center. And then walking your feet together. Go ahead and grab your block again, and we're going to do what we call modified legs up the wall. Now, if it's not comfortable to put your hips on the block, and then we're going to be lifting the feet and extending the legs, then just grab your chair and bring your chair to the edge of the mat, and you can put your legs on the chair. Again, same concept. We're now relaxing in here. Feel free to put a blanket on the chair if you'd like to. So whatever is best for you, I'm just going to show you. Obviously, the chair is pretty easy. You're just going to rest the lower legs on the chair. If you want to do the legs up the wall on the block, then you'll come into bridge. Take your block. You're going to place it underneath your hips. Have the sacrum on there. And then pick your feet up, have your knees over your hips, and then extend those legs. So as you're here, the weight is here in the block, and so you should be using very few leg muscles to hold those legs up. And either one on the chair here will just take a few moments to relax. Good, and breathe. If you have issues with your blood pressure, then you'll want to use the chair and keep the hips on the mat. But you're still getting the benefits of sending the blood from the lower legs back to the heart. It just isn't as extreme as this. So use the chair and just relax there. So we'll stay here about 30 more seconds. So just closing the eyes. This pose is called legs up the wall because you can also go over to the wall and use the wall. You would turn sideways and then just swing your legs up. And then to come out of the pose, if you're on the chair, then you'll want to just roll onto your side, lifting the legs off the chair. From here, you're going to bend your knees and then lower one leg down and then the other. Come back up into bridge as you remove your block. And then you're going to just extend the legs coming into Savasana. Maybe, whatever you need to do to be more comfortable, bring the blanket in or put on some socks or a sweater. And then, meanwhile, I'm going to come up to seated position here as you get yourself comfortable. And as you kind of wiggle it out a little bit, of course you're laying on the mat, have those feet about 6 inches apart and just let the feet fall out to the side as you relax the leg muscles. Your arms are about 6 inches, maybe not quite that far, 3 inches or so away from the body. And then rotate the palms up towards the ceiling so that you open up through the chest. And closing the eyes and turning the attention back to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. Feel the breath as it enters the nostrils and flows into the lungs. Focus on the rib cage as it expands with each inhale and contracts with each exhale. And focus on the physical body. Relax all the muscles from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Release any tension or tightness. And then focus on the mind. Release any thoughts, worries, or anxieties. Imagine yourself in a place that brings you peace. And allow yourself just a few moments to completely let go. Begin to deepen your breath. And then start moving your fingers and toes. And then the wrists and the ankles. And when you're ready, bending both knees and rolling onto your right side in a fetal position. And taking a few breaths here. And then using your left hand to support you, pushing yourself back up into a seated position. And keeping the body relaxed and the eyes closed for just another moment. Focus on the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. And then we'll take one more deep cleansing breath. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.